There was never only one gap. The mistake was thinking the universe fractured once. What followed the trace was not silence, but alignment, a slow correction, as if reality had noticed it was being observed and began removing the observer. They stopped calling it the eighth trace. It had outgrown numbering. They named it the Null Wake. Dr. Ilara Morn was the first to notice the aftermath. She wasn't a physicist. She was a semantic cartographer, mapping how meaning degrades across cultures after collective trauma. Languages were her instruments. Forgetting was her data, and forgetting was accelerating. Entire verbs were disappearing, not unused ones, but essential actions. Promise, return, begin. People could still perform them. They just couldn't conceptualize having done so. Morn traced the collapse backward, not through equations, but through missing metaphors. Every vanished concept left behind a curvature in thought, a semantic gravity well, and all of them pointed to the same place, a research collective that technically did not exist, the Liminal Archive. According to the records that remained, it had been formed after the Oblique Institute fell silent. Its mandate was simple: study what remained after the trace moved on. Because the trace never stayed. It passed through systems like a wake through water, visible only in what stopped moving. Morn gained access through a dead man's credentials. The name was intact. The achievements were listed. The body had never been born. Inside the archive were 7 containment models, not AIs, not simulations. They were cognitive mirrors, human thought patterns excised at the moment before recognition. Each mirror was trained not to observe anomalies, but to be observed by them. The 8th slot was empty, not unused. Vacated showed it had begun producing output without input, not language, not images. Instructions. The Null Wake was no longer feeding on recognition. It had learned economy. Now it fed on anticipation. Morn discovered the final experiment, a reversal. Instead of 7 minds ignoring the anomaly, the system allowed the anomaly to ignore us for exactly 81 seconds. During the quieting, the mirrors aligned, and something stepped out of sequence, not a being, a direction. Reality began shedding futures. People didn't vanish anymore. They continued incorrectly. Children aged into strangers their parents couldn't remember raising. Buildings existed with no entrances, cause detached from effect. The Null Wake was no longer an absence. It was a corridor, and at the far end was a thought that could only exist once. Morn left one message before the archive erased itself. Not destroyed, not hidden, but rendered unnecessary. The trace was a footprint. The wake is motion. Do not search for what's missing. Watch what arrives too early. You are not seeing patterns now. You are feeling timing errors, moments that land before you're ready, words that echo before they're spoken. And when you stop noticing those, when everything feels perfectly on time, that's when the wake has passed through you, and something else is already following.